EPI.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The time for holiday hosting is upon us, so make your second bathroom second to none with HomeDepot.com's best savings of the season. Right now, enjoy up to 40% off select online bath. Find the latest on-trend styles of vanities, faucets, showers, tubs, toilets, and more, all at prices that will let your budget relax right along with you and your beautifully renovated bath. Get up to 40% off select online bath plus free delivery at the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see HomeDepot.com/delivery for details.
The GCU men's basketball squad is coming off their winningest season in 35 years, their third trip to the NCAA tournament in 4 years, and their first ever NCAA tournament victory. Returning 4 of their 5 starters in Ray Harrison, Colin Moore, Duke Brennan, and reigning WAC Player of the Year, Tyon Grant Foster, the Lopes look to defend their WAC titles and make a run to the Sweet 16. With a non-conference slate, including Stanford, Georgia, and crosstown rival Arizona State, you won't want to miss a moment of the action. So join me, Michael Potter, and Lopes insider Paul Coro all season long right here on the home of the Lopes, 1580 The Fanatic. Lopes up.
Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harmon Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. One, visit harmonsolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call, 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmonsolar.com.
In most countries of the world, Forte means door. United Forte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
80% of youth in Arizona don't drink, smoke, or use drugs. Want to know the reason why? It's you. Kids say not disappointing their parents is one of the main reasons they choose not to drink or use drugs. Visit talknowaz.com, because while you might worry you aren't getting through, you are. Keep it up and stay up to date about the latest Arizona drug trends at talknowaz.com. This message is sponsored by the Substance Abuse Coalition Leaders of Arizona.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
And welcome to the show here on a Monday afternoon. Monday Night Football coming up, an entire weekend of football. If you count the college stuff, which I do, but even if you don't, we had a great day of football yesterday here on 1580 The Fanatic. You're listening to Beat the Book. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me is our betting expert, Dylan Cohen. We are broadcasting from the Harmon Solar Studios in sunny uptown Scottsdale. And today on the show, we've got a lot of football to get into. We've got some NBA stuff to get into. Suns back in action tonight. They're 1-1 on the season. What do they have to do to make sure that this game,
2-1?
Or sorry, 2-1. My bad. I forgot about the Dallas game after that. But what do they have to do to make sure that this game with the Lakers, this tangle that they've got going on, doesn't turn out like the last one? We'll get to that as well. You are on the Fanatic text line, 888-368-1580. How did your bets go this weekend? Did you have any good ones? Did you have any bad ones? Any bad beats get you? We'd love to hear from you and what happened to you and your teams. But before we get to any and all of those things, Dylan, who powers the show?
We are sponsored by Sport Trade. And if you have not already, make sure you download Sport Trade, get your account set up, use promo code 1580 to take advantage of their 10% cashback offer on new account signups. And Sport Trade runs this little giveaway here on this beautiful afternoon radio show, where they've been giving away a $100 Amazon gift card as well as $50 in cash sent directly to your Sport Trade account for you to gamble with. And this would normally be the time in the show where Keon and myself would go ahead and announce who the winner of the contest is, but Today we find ourselves in a little bit of a pickle. This is new territory in the short lifespan of this contest so far. We did not actually receive a text submission that was either at or below where the implied probability percentage was for the Arizona Cardinals to win at halftime of their game against the Dolphins yesterday. So for all of you listening that did happen to participate, the implied probability percentage at halftime for the Cardinals was 21.5%. And with this contest, there have been Price is Right rules, which means if you go over what the actual number is, your bet or your submission is not going to be considered a winner. So this is the first time this has happened where, and Keon has double checked, we've triple checked, every single submission we got was either, all of them were above the 21.5%.
Nobody was low on the Cardinals this week. I mean, this would have been a perfect spot, perfect opportunity for any Seahawks fans, Niners fans, Rams fans, anybody who wanted to give the Cardinals a little bit of crap to just throw in a number that was really low. You would have won. If you had guessed 1%, you would have won.
So calling all Cardinals haters, anyone that's just a fan of one of the other NFC West teams or any of the other NFL teams, as long as you don't have, a lot of hope for the Cardinals, you could have came in and lowballed it like our good friend Lost Toby did a couple weeks back.
Yeah, and I think the irony of this, by the way, is that the win probability of the Cardinals game wound up being 100% because they won the game. So despite starting off in a position where they were at 21% odds to win that game,
and really what that means is if you're on your Sport Trade app and you're watching this Cardinals game and it's halftime and their share price is 21.5%, that means you could have bought low, held it, and then it was a bit of a sweat. Cardinals won on a game-winning field goal to finish 28-27. And then you would have ultimately, had a nice return on your wager there. So that is the kind of betting experience you could be having on Sport Trade. So that's why, if you haven't already, get your account set up and start, working with the app. Check out the tape. Just check out the whole dynamic of wagering with probabilities instead of American odds. It's going to change everything. But Keon, there were some other great things that happened over the weekend. There were some not so great things that happened. We're going to talk a little best and worst of what we saw over the last few days. And this one, not going to be a whole lot to get into here because the Suns played another game the following night. But last Friday, the Suns did face the LA Lakers in Los Angeles. And this was a game where they raced out to an early lead. They got up 22 points in the first half. And then they turned around and managed to lose that lead. So kind of similar dynamic to what happened in the Clippers game, only in that game, the Suns managed to hold on. In this game, LeBron and AD got the best of the Suns, and the Lakers ended up winning 123-116 back on Friday. So that was the Suns' first loss of the season. And that was something that was not so great to see, but they were able to change their fortunes the following night, and we will touch base on that. But other than the Suns, another Arizona team that lost was the U of A Wildcats football. They were taking on West Virginia at home. They were favored, and they still lost. Final score 31-26. U of A football is now on a 4-game losing streak. Keon, do you think Brent Brennan's seat might be getting a little warm right now?
I think that I think they're not going to be too hasty with it, but I expect that at the end of the season he'll be gone. Because I just don't see him winning enough games, and this is why the Jed Fish loss hurts a lot. He left, and so you lose a lot of that. The guys that believed in him, that really came there to play for him. You kind of lose that element in the locker room. But also, there are just a bunch of guys that just went in the transfer portal when he left because that they went to go play for him. That's what they went to Tucson for. That's what they wanted to accomplish. And you just see it happen all the time now with the transfer portal, where if players show up to play for a coach and then that coach is gone, they leave. And you can talk about how great a quarterback is and you can't win without a good one. But at some point, you start losing enough elements of your team, your offensive line, your defensive line, your pass rush. It's going to be hard to get back in track and get yourself in a position where you're winning football games. And the Wildcats are experiencing that right now.
I can't imagine this happening, but with how back and forth a sport like football can be, I would say it's not completely impossible. But what if perhaps Arizona continues to have a bit of a disappointing season all the way till that very last game of the season where they get to take on Arizona State? What if Brent Brennan and the Wildcats actually performed well against ASU? What if it was just like a dominating, convincing win? Does that perhaps maybe save his job?
Well, that's the thing, that I'm not as in touch with that fan base as maybe you are, because I know that there are some schools where if you beat the rival, it doesn't matter if you lose every other game else. If you're Illinois, you got to beat Purdue. You just have to. If you're Bama, you got to beat Tennessee. Like if you're Georgia, you got to beat Florida. Like there are just some rivalries that matter so much that if you lose in that rivalry, Michigan and Ohio State, that could cost you your job, and it could save you your job too. I don't know if Arizona is one of those schools. I haven't experienced them that way, at least not on the football side. On the basketball side, they want to dominate everything else in that conference, but it just depends on where the priorities are of the fan base and the boosters and the athletic department as far as football goes.
I would say for right now, like Brent Brennan absolutely needs to win that game at having a shot at keeping his job for next season. But
I do think that if he loses every game between now and then has a good game then, it's possible he's still gone. You know what I mean? Like, it's just he does need to win some other games too along the way to that point. And like maybe some upsets would be nice. Show that you have what it takes to get this team up for some big performances, like you've seen at ASU with Kenny Dillingham, where ASU hasn't won every game. They've lost some games that, quite frankly, they had a shot to win. But when it's time for the big games, ASU gets up for those and they win a good amount of them. If he can start doing that, that would go a long way to saving his job.
Well, and this will be something to keep an eye on because, one thing that you haven't heard a whole lot about is, just more forward thinking about next season. What kind of recruiting, is Arizona doing right now compared to, how things went under Jedd Fisch? Because Jedd Fisch was able to, bring in a lot of talent, which Brent Brennan is currently working with right now and not really doing a whole lot with it. So, that's something I haven't looked a whole lot into, but I also haven't really seen any headlines on it. Keon, if you do happen to find anything notable about where Arizona stands in recruiting, I'd be curious to know.
Their 2025 recruiting rankings actually look pretty good. They're 5th in the Big 12 with 20 commits so far, 2 4-stars, like 18 3-stars. So not bad. It's actually going all right. At 5th, that puts them actually 4 spots ahead of ASU, who else has a couple of 4-stars, and then they have a few less of the 3-stars. So we'll see. We get a little bit closer to that early signing day that pops up in December. We'll see where Arizona winds up there, but at least it looks like the recruiting is going pretty well in the Big 12. So that's not a bad place.
So perhaps maybe a little bit of hope, in the distance for Arizona football. We'll just have to wait and see.
39th nationally. So not bad.
That's better than I would have thought. There were a couple other things that, not everyone is going to consider these to be necessarily bad, but
it depends on who you are.
Depends on who you are. If you're say Davante Adams or perhaps Aaron Rodgers, you didn't have a really good day yesterday when your New York Jets went to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots, and this was a game that you said before you played was a must win.
Davante Adams specifically said he didn't quite use the words must win, but everything he said all but implied the urgency of a must win football game. And then they did not win the must win football game.
And not only did they not win the must win football game, but that other team they were playing, the Patriots, who transitioned to rookie Drake May for good reason. I mean, this guy looks like he could be the quarterback of the future for them. He got injured. He got taken out of that game early. So they weren't playing the Patriots' best quarterback per se. They were playing Jacoby Brissett, and they still could not get that win. So
yeah, they were playing Jacoby Brissett. Actually, I'm not going to lie. I have the box score up here because I've been looking at it on my phone and on various computers for the last 24 hours. I still don't know how the Jets lost this game. It's not like the Patriots did anything great. I don't even know where the 25 points necessarily came from for them. They got a couple of runs from Ramondre Stevenson for touchdowns, but as far as the yards rushing, as far as his efficiency running the football, not a very good Ramondre Stevenson day. Didn't really get a whole lot from the wide receivers. Kayshon Boutte leads all wide receivers for the Patriots, 46 total yards of receiving. Nobody was great in this game for the Patriots, and yet somehow the Jets still found a way to lose.
And look, I mean, if you're the Jets, you've just paid a price to bring in Davante Adams, and he has not even put up 100 receiving yards for you yet between two games. You've alienated Mike Williams to the point where, he's getting dangled in the, trade market now. Mm-hmm. I have to imagine that locker room is not on the best footing, given
it's
that
the most toxic locker room in the league. It has to be.
You sent your head coach out the door, who could have been a mediator, someone that could have managed personalities, managed expectations, kept that culture in line with where it was supposed to be. Instead, you handed the reins over to Aaron Rodgers and you pushed Robert Saleh away. And where is that left you, New York?
Can I take a couple of victory laps real
quick? Please.
Lap 1. Robert Saleh still your problem with these Jets? Because we talked about it the day after he got fired. And there were people on this very text line, 888-368-1580. That's where you could join the show. And some of you, I'd like you to pop up right now and answer for yourselves. There were people on this very text line who were like, oh, the Jets are going to improve. Robert Saleh was the problem. He sucks as a coach. Are you sure that Robert Saleh is the problem now? Because this team hasn't won since they fired him. So that's lap 1. I think that Robert Saleh was wrongfully fired if we're doing this for football reasons. If there were other reasons, fine. But I still think that's a dumb reason to fire a guy in the middle of a football season if winning games is your actual goal. That's lap 1. Lap 2, does Davante Adams actually help this football team? Because I remember saying that too. They didn't need to trade for Davante Adams, and it was going to screw with the wide receivers. Garrett Wilson doesn't have any confidence right now. He just looks lost out there because he was the number 1 guy, and now he's trying to figure out how to be a number 2 receiver, and it's not going well. He's not taking it well, and Aaron Rodgers and the connection with Adams trumps everything else in this offense. It just does. Now you've lost 2 games back-to-back since firing your coach and making this move for Davante Adams. It has not helped you. You need an offensive line because you still can't run the football. Is anybody sure? Or are we going to do the Aaron Rodgers relax thing right now at 2-6 in a division that is getting further and further away from them? Those are my victory laps right there because I just genuinely saw this coming. I feel like a psychic.
You had used this metaphor to explain this a couple of weeks back when this trade first went down, where it was as if, the Jets are a car that you're driving and the air conditioning is not working in this car.
But you bought another tire.
You went out and you got yourself another tire.
You got 4 tires. They all work fine. A 5th tire isn't a bad idea. Like if someone goes down or gets hurt, or if you blow a tire, it's nice to have a replacement tire. But wouldn't you rather just fix the AC since the tires are fine? Like that's where I don't understand the Davante Adams trade. They already had receivers. That was not the problem with this team. And a lot of times we get caught up on the skill position guys. When the skill position guys move around, we go, oh, wow, Davante Adams, of course he's going to make them better. It's a team game. If you don't need more skill position help, that's not gonna boost you. That's not gonna lift you. You need an offensive line. Your defensive line stinks. Why didn't you figure out the stuff that you had going on with Hassan Reddick for half the season? Like there was just the priorities are just wrong in that locker room, in that front office, and that's why the Jets aren't going anywhere this year, and why probably we may have seen the end of Aaron Rodgers, and what a depressing end to a career like that.
Well, and now you're just taking your car with no functioning air conditioning. And for your next 2 weeks, you're taking on two different teams that are each leading their respective divisions right now. You've got a game against the Texans.
Good luck.
And then a game at State Farm Stadium against the Arizona Cardinals.
Which is...
I mean, you just want to say it's winnable, but...
You want to say it's winnable, but I just watched this team lose to the Patriots and Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals got that one.
I don't want to guarantee anything, but boy.
So, this is going to be an ongoing thing with us. And, the more that the Jets can't seem to put things together with the pieces that they went out and acquired, the more that you're going to hear us doing some victory laps on that. But lastly, for that worst of the weekend, definitely need to shout out the World Series right now. I know we haven't covered a whole lot of baseball on this program since the postseason is starting to wind down for MLB. But the Dodgers did unfortunately win. They did get game one. But I got to say, pretty awesome way to win a World Series game. If you didn't happen to see it, look up the highlight. Freddie Freeman, bottom of the 10th inning, just launches a bomb.
Just incredible. I mean,
and it was one of those ones where like he knew the second he finished that swing, he knew.
I mean, it's not, I'm not going to lie. You watch it on TV, you see it, and just from your couch at home, you're looking at and you're like, wow, he got all of that.
Well, and I was watching that Lakers-Suns game where they literally like paused the Lakers-Suns game so all the fans inside of Crypto.com Arena could like see this happen and react. And
that's kind of cool.
Well, it was funny because like you just hear this roar and you're kind of like, it's a timeout. Like unless they're doing some really crazy dead ball fan contest, why are people freaking out right now? And then commentators come on. Oh, they just showed everyone what Freddie Freeman just did, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, that makes sense. So, Dodgers and Yankees play again tonight, and I'm hoping the Yankees can even things up here.
I hope so too, just because I want a good series. Like I don't like either of these teams, so it doesn't really do anything for me personally. But yeah, I just want a good series in the Fall Classic. But it was pretty cool. Freddie Freeman hits the grand slam, and then he walks up the first baseline, and he's just holding his bat in the air. Then he lets it go. That was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie to you. That was very, very cool.
It was a modern Kirk Gibson moment.
Little bit, yeah. Little bit. It's still weird watching him in Dodger blue. I got a soft spot for the Braves in my heart, so it's very weird seeing him in colors that I can't get behind that. Can't do it.
Probably how Red Sox fans feel watching Mookie on the
I'm
Dodgers
sure
too.
That's another one where you're just like, gee, I don't know how to feel about that either. I think at least with Red Sox fans, you have the added benefit of at least he's not a Yankee.
Right.
You got to watch the Yankees in the World Series, and at least your guy is playing them. So I don't know. It's a little complicated. We're right up against a break. We'll come back. We're a little bit behind now. We're going to get to the best of the weekend on the other side, and then we're going to break down this Suns and Lakers game coming up tonight for you right here on 1580 The Fanatic. You're listening to Beat the Book.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Sports betting apps are not created equal. Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here to talk about the Sport Trade advantage. With higher payouts, Sport Trade is the ultimate sports betting experience. Sport Trade is the first sports betting app that gives you the option to see the odds expressed as probabilities, and it's changing in-game betting forever. If it's easier to understand 52% probability of winning versus minus 108 odds, then Sport Trade is for you. With this percent odds feature, cashing out now makes much more sense. As the win probability changes, so does the value of your bet. And if you're an experienced bettor and prefer American odds, you'll get pricing closer to minus 106 versus the normal minus 110, coupled with instant in-play betting. No more spinny wheels. So download Sport Trade today to see the difference and beat the book. Use promo code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet you place in your first week. Terms apply.
Sport Trade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
The time for holiday hosting is upon us, so make your second bathroom second to none with HomeDepot.com's best savings of the season. Right now, enjoy up to 40% off select online bath. Find the latest on-trend styles of vanities, faucets, showers, tubs, toilets, and more, all at prices that will let your budget relax right along with you and your beautifully renovated bath. Get up to 40% off select online bath plus free delivery at the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see HomeDepot.com/delivery for details.
Direct savings and client focus, the cornerstones of the Diamond Dave philosophy.
Hi, I'm Diamond Dave Cantor. My team and I at Desert Wholesale Diamond can be your trusted friends with an inside scoop on the diamond world.
Just like they are to thousands of people around the world.
And just like we have been for over 34 years.
At Diamond Dave's, it's all about the diamonds and the savings, not paying for high-end retail locations or the overhead of a mall.
You stand to save big time with our by appointment professional office approach combined with direct importing.
When you choose Diamond Dave's, you choose huge savings, top quality, and excellent service. Call, email, or message us for an in-person appointment.
Or sit back and relax for free FedEx shipping anywhere in the USA.
Call Diamond Dave at 480-397-2450. That's 480-397-2450. Or follow him on Instagram at Diamond Dave Cantor. That's at Diamond Dave, Kantor.
Everybody's got a podcast these days. Comedy, politics, true crime, you name it. But how many actually teach you anything useful? Harman Solar has an entertaining podcast that is vital if you've been thinking about looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Ralph and Ben explore the intricacies of utilities, equipment, processes, and more. Their primary objective is to educate and empower you to make informed decisions on your solar journey. So increase your knowledge, not your bills. Go check it out right now. It's the Harman Solar Podcast at harmansolar.com.
If it's local,
We talk about it.
1580 and 99.3. The Fanatics.
And we're back here to talk about the best of the weekend. By the way, 888-368-1580. That's where you can join us on the show. What was your best and worst of the weekend? Well, let's get to the best, Dylan.
So for the best, and I know for me, in terms of, what was on yesterday and what was the most exciting, game that happened within the NFL, on the one hand, our Cardinals had a pretty good day, but Keon, I think it was your Commanders that actually really stole the show for me. If you have not seen what Jaden Daniels managed to do to win the game for the Commanders at the very end, I highly recommend you look up the highlight. It was almost a little reminiscent of a certain Hail Mary I can think of that our very own Kyler Murray once threw to DeAndre Hopkins. This one arguably required a little bit more luck.
I would say not necessarily arguably. It did require much more luck because there was, it got bounced, it got tipped at the goal line and then just landed in the arms of Noah Brown. Like, I do think that you also have to execute very well on a play like that too. On a Hail Mary, they had Zach Ertz at the goal line. They had a receiver in front in case it got tipped forward, and they had Noah Brown behind in case it got tipped back. And Noah was where he was supposed to be, and it just dropped right into his arms. I mean, and Jaden put it right on Zach Ertz. But usually you don't expect it. And Romo was saying this on the broadcast. You just don't expect that the receiver you throw it to be the guy to actually catch it, because of course everybody's flocking to the ball at that point. And there were some other issues there that also they got a little bit lucky on. For whatever reason, the Bears decided they were only rushing 3. Well, there was a little bit of pressure on Jaden Daniels. He runs around, he extends the play, he buys enough time for those guys to get to the end zone before ripping a 52-yarder down the field, which is also funny because I remember watching a lot of the draft coverage and everybody going, yeah, well, Jaden Daniels' arm's not great. Looked fine to me. I don't know.
playing with like a rib, injury too. So yeah, I mean, your core, like you're feeling that, every time you're gonna launch a long ball. In this case, that, avoiding, rushers coming at him. I mean, like he had to put on some moves there. That was not easy what he did to find the space to then get that ball out for ultimately Noah Brown to just be in like the absolute best place he could have been in. I mean, just arms waiting. This ball just falls right into the basket, exactly where you need it to be. And there's this video that's circulating. I saw it on Instagram of it shows like two frames. Like the bottom frame is showing the sequence happening. The top frame is just fixated angle on Caleb Williams and like watching his reaction. And you see him and he's kind of like smiling. He's like, oh yeah, we got him. We got him. You know, Jaden's like scrambling around and then the ball goes up in the air and Caleb's like, all right, yeah, we got it. We got, and then it just like, and then it just within 2 seconds, you see him fade to just anger. And then he's storming up the sideline. He's screaming. He's, you know, getting on his teammates for whatever little thing that he feels like they did to put them in that situation.
And I will say this about Caleb Williams. He's got to be careful with that. He's a little cocky. And man, you didn't do anything offensively in the whole first half of that game. The Commanders were kicking field goals and you didn't get into gear until middle of the third quarter. So is there something, Caleb, you could have done in that game to help give your team a chance? Like you did get going eventually, but it was the defense that was bailing you guys out. So I don't necessarily want to hear that from him in that moment. Like to me, that's just not being a very good teammate. But if I want to go back to the Commanders really quick and just what they did well, they just took a lot of care of the football. And then they just had some drops in the end zone. They really could have scored more touchdowns in that game outside of that Hail Mary, the Hail Mary being the one touchdown they scored. They just couldn't seem to haul the football in the end zone, including one throw that Jaden Daniels had to Luke McCaffrey in the back corner of the end zone, just couldn't get both feet down and inside. But that was a dart. I don't know. It's the best of the weekend because of the Hail Mary and the excitement of it. And, you know, two of the first two players taken are quarterbacks and they go head to head. And it's the 8th time that's happened, you know, the season that they were drafted, that they get to go head to head and play. And the excitement of all of that is one thing, but this team is also just 6-2. And I can't remember a start this good. I had to look it up because it's been so long. 2008 was the last time the team started this well. I was in high school. It's like half my life ago, essentially, that, you know, I saw this team be even that good. I'm kind of speechless. Like I don't necessarily know what else to say. I'm just going to keep rooting for it and keep enjoying the ride, though. It's just unbelievable. I didn't think that this was a turnaround that was even possible this year for this team. I didn't think the talent was there, but that was a good defensive performance against the Bears team that really had the weapons to just tear the top off of this defense. And then they just didn't allow that to happen. I'm impressed.
You know, it's incredible too. I mean, just looking ahead for the Commanders, like you guys still have 2 games against the Cowboys left. So that sounds great.
A couple of games against the Cowboys, a couple of games against the Eagles, which they're up and down.
Next game is against the Giants.
Yeah, which is,
I mean, I know that first one wasn't very pretty, but Commanders still got the win there. And I have to imagine there's going to be actual touchdowns scored next week in that game. And it won't
Jaden's got much more confidence now than he did when they played back in week 2, which feels like a million years ago now. But I think a lot of that is just with how fast Jaden's progressing.
Well, and to your point there, if there was ever any kind of a debate as to who the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year award was going to go to, after yesterday, there's no more debate. Odds makers have priced this in a way where it's pretty clear who that winner is going to be. Jaden Daniels currently priced at -450 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Next closest player is Caleb Williams at +1,000, 10-1 odds.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, Neighbors, because of the concussion that he had in the games that he missed, he's probably way back in the rear view now.
22-1 now.
Yeah, because Neighbors started off like he was in that conversation too. It's just unfortunately, the concussion and the fact that he's a Giant are holding him back from perhaps being considered a little bit more heavily here.
So, definitely stick with Commanders money line for now, just the way they're playing. There is going to be some value in backing Washington to win on Sundays. But like we mentioned before, our Cardinals did get a pretty exciting win yesterday as well. Final score 28-27, another game-winning field goal for Chad Ryland. And Keon, I had asked you this before we went on. How can they bring Matt Prater back with the things that Ryland is doing on the field? I mean, just performing, rising to the occasion. I mean, 2 game-winning kicks under his belt now. I mean, we've got to go with the hot leg, right?
You'd have to think so, right? Especially when you consider, his age. He's just a younger football player, and if you can get that at the kicker position, usually you don't have to worry about swapping that guy out for another 10 years. And I don't know how many teams have had a good, reliable kicker, and then they've had to, either because the guy retired or because he just, wasn't making kicks, whatever it is, he just got the yips, whatever the case is, when you have to change. How many guys do you have to go through and rotate through before you find a kicker that's even remotely reliable? Lots of teams have to do this all the time. Now you got a guy who's 25 years old. Why would you go back to Prater? As good as Prater was and is, you got a guy that's 25 years old. You don't have to think about having another kicker for 10 more years if he continues to kick like this.
I just feel like it's definitely, it can't be an easy decision. So at least the Cardinals were able to, find a pretty suitable replacement. And, going forward until Ryland isn't making those kicks, this has to be considered his job to lose. But also just wanted to shout out, I think this was the first time finally this season Kyler Murray had over 300 passing yards. His line on passing yards yesterday was hovering around 200. So if you had the foresight to ladder that, you definitely made some cash there. Same thing with Marvin Harrison receiving yards. He finally got another game above 100 receiving yards under his belt. Trey McBride also goes for 124 receiving yards as well. So if you happen to hit any same game parlays, any long bets on the Cardinal stats yesterday, text us, let us know, 888-368-1580. And then last good thing of the weekend, Suns managed to right the wrongs of Friday night and Saturday home opener against the Western Conference champs, the Dallas Mavericks. Suns get the job done, 114-102. They've got a 2-1 record now on the season, getting a rematch against the Lakers tonight at home. So we will have some thoughts, some picks for that game. But first, we got to focus on this finale here to Week 8 in the NFL. It is Monday Night Football, Giants and Steelers, and you'll be able to catch that broadcast here on 1580 The Fanatic. That'll be coming up just after the Daily Blender. Coverage starts at 4:30, so you can just stick around after this show, hang out, and you will get your Monday Night Football a little bit later on. But there were some interesting numbers about this this spot and some trends, trying to do some research. And one thing that I kept hearing get thrown around today, and then I looked at it myself, was just this record that Daniel Jones has, not only in Monday Night Football games, but just literally on a nighttime prime time. Daniel Jones does not perform at night, and especially on Mondays.
he is, what is he, 0-7 on Monday Night Football?
0-7 Monday Night Football, 1-14 record in his career in nighttime primetime games.
Good night, 11. Look, I think Daniel Jones is the guy that we accused Kirk Cousins of being for all those years. Because when you look at the Kirk Cousins primetime numbers now, they're not just respectable, they're actually good. Kirk Cousins went from can't win in primetime to Mr. Monday night, Mr. Sunday night, Mr. Thursday night. You put Kirk Cousins on a primetime game, apparently he's just good to win those. Daniel Jones, on the other hand, not so much.
Well, and then, just to really kind of raise the stakes here, this is coming on the heels of a week where Daniel Jones got pulled early because the team lost confidence in him. And, whether or not that was the right decision, it now just kind of throws this, kind of mental edge, this shot at your starting quarterback's confidence. Like, do you really have this guy's back? Are you going to continue to roll with him after he throws 1 pick, 2 picks, fumbles, whatever mistakes he's going to ultimately end up making? Or does Daniel Jones now have to worry about, losing his job? Although if you're Daniel Jones, you can't be worried. You have such a great contract. If they're just going to pay you all that guaranteed money to not play, I know that's not the greatest thing for your pride, but I mean, are you actually like upset? Are you actually worried?
But also, you can be better. Like, if it's not like Daniel Jones is playing the best football of his life, or at least I sure hope not, and there's nowhere up to go, and the team is trying to replace him anyway. That I could understand being a little upset by, being a little miffed by. But when we're talking about Daniel Jones, who has been just terrible, not just this year, but the year before and the year before, he just hasn't been good. He has had moments where he's looked like a real NFL quarterback, but he's had so many more moments where you just go, how does this guy even get to wear a uniform? He is that bad. When you see what it is that he is bringing to the table, it doesn't feel like a whole lot. Maybe instead of getting mad, just be better. Take better care of the football. Be a little bit more accurate when you're throwing it. You know, use your legs a little bit more. You are actually fast. Like, there are just things that you look at with Daniel Jones, and he's just never put it all together. And at this point, I'm not sure that he ever will.
So there are some picks. There are some bets that we do have for this game tonight. If you have not checked out the Beat the Book website already, that is the place to go to see what the bets are for this Monday Night Football game. You can get there by following me on Instagram. The account is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. Just click the link in the bio. That'll take you right to the Beat the Book website. You can also get there through the 1580 The Fanatic website. Just click on the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo, and that'll take you right to the site with all of the bets to make. So if you haven't already kind of figured this out by now, we're very much on the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game on the money line at home. The Steelers have won their last 2 games. The Giants have lost 3 out of their last 4 games. To go alongside all that, stuff about Daniel Jones just not being able to win at night on Monday.
He's been ineffective against bad defenses. I can't imagine what this defense is going to do to him.
Now, if you haven't already figured this out too, Daniel Jones to throw an interception. It's a great bet.
It's the most reliable bet in football this year. And this is the defense that all but guarantees that it's going to happen at some point. Not every interception is his fault, but he still throws them. They still happen. It seems like every week, Daniel Jones, there's an interception in him somewhere, and he always seems to find it. And I don't see how, with TJ Watt being the terror that he can be and Cam Hayward being the terror that he can be, I don't see how this doesn't become a problem for Daniel Jones today, going up against a defense that is pretty much designed to make the best quarterbacks look bad. And Daniel Jones is not the best quarterback.
Well, and ESPN is also reporting that Daniel Jones has been told he is not on a short leash for this game tonight. So if he supposedly has the green light internally to just, try and make the plays, sling the ball, just rip it.
Gunslinger Daniel Jones shouldn't exist. He's not a good gunslinger.
He is an excellent interception thrower.
Yeah, like gunslinger Baker Mayfield makes sense because Jameis is like this too. They're just as good as they are bad, where they are just as likely to throw an interception as they are to throw a 40-yard bomb in the end zone. Daniel Jones gives you the interception downside with none of the offensive upside that any of these other guys gives you. So you just end up with the guy that puts the ball at risk, but doesn't necessarily accurately put the ball, in places where his receivers could get it, or put the ball in the end zone. Typically, that's what makes it such a solid bet. Like he makes just enough mistakes to where the big one is coming at any time, and it usually gets there. By the way, CK on the text line says, "Good afternoon, fellas and my degenerate gamblers. Best of the weekend was Niners win. Suns beat Dallas. Bitch pigeons get killed. Worst 80% of my bets, haha, in regard to the contest. Using the week 1 rules, would there have been a winner?"
That's a great question, CK.
What would have been the highest point, I guess, is what the question would be. Because that was...
Well, it can't... So the guess cannot exceed what the actual probability was. So...
Yeah, but he's saying rather than use the halftime, he's saying at the high. What's the highest point that it reached during that half? What if we use those rules?
Trying to use those numbers instead.
Since
okay,
since that could potentially be a higher
not
number.
a bad idea. So we're going to get some feedback from Sport Trade on this. We're going to have a final answer on the outcome on tomorrow's show. So just make sure you stay tuned for that. But I'm going to float that, CK. I really do like that idea.
Yeah.
That might be a good way to try and sort this out.
Because that could end up being a little bit more tiebreaker. It gives people it gives their guesses a chance for it to actually matter. Chief Skull says kicker. We're talking about a kicker. What has this world come to? Now, I like Chief Skull. I don't want to say mean things to Chief Skull. But I think, as a Vikings fan, the importance of having a kicker that can make big kicks late in games of all the fan bases to potentially know what that means and the importance of that. Wouldn't you and your team... Okay, I'll stop. He also says, how dare you talk about Kirk Cousins being Mr. Primetime? Still a sore spot what he did. Yeah, I think I just went at the Vikings 2 times in a row for no reason. I didn't try to. I didn't do that on purpose. I promise.
I wonder what you guys would give for like a Chad Ryland right now.
A lot, I think. It's the last time that the only Cardinals game I ever went to, they were playing the Vikings, and it was Matt Prater from like 50 yards won the game. So I'm just saying, of all the fan bases, chances to go to a Super Bowl and everything else, I would not be that mad about kicker talk. Is all I'm saying. Oh, he said I was channeling my inner Jim Mora. Well, good job. I wasn't trying to go at you, Chief School, I promise. So we're going to get to the picks today. We're going to talk a little Lakers, Suns on the other side. You're listening to Beat the Book on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's the land of the free and the home of student drivers ready to back into your new fence at any given time. It's firing up a round of burgers and dogs on your rusty grill with a faulty gas line that engulfs your tool shed in flames. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Now open in Scottsdale. It's United Forte Custom Door Showroom with 40,000 Euro doors and hundreds of state-of-the-art designs and finishes on display, plus kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and more, all at wholesale prices. Builders, contractors, designers, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, Forte. Stop by to see and feel the quality. United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
Hey, sweetie, what you doing?
Looking around for jobs. Offices, 9 to 5. I don't want anything boring.
You know, Brian's daughter's in the Phoenix Police Academy. Pretty sure she's not bored.
I never thought of that.
Check out joinphxpd.com and take a look.
Over 80 specialty details like detective and canine handler. What else? Dignitary protection, 911 operator. They have aviation and dive team jobs? What?
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
to the end of Beat the Book here on a Monday afternoon. Monday night.
Keon, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. We've got some breaking news right now.
Uh-oh.
Breaking news directly from Sport Trade. I am texting with Sport Trade right now. Anyone that signs up for a Sport Trade account can text directly with Sport Trade. They will text you when you create your account. So this is just one of the many perks of leveraging Sport Trade.
Little VIP treatment for you.
So that closest guess that we got to the actual implied win probability for the Cardinals at halftime, the actual number was 21.5%. That was what their expected win probability was at halftime. Anyone typically that guesses that number goes a little bit under it. You know, if you're the closest and you're under, you win. But just to kind of recap what's been going on is all of the text submissions that we got for the Sport Trade contest, they all came in above what the actual probability percentage was. This hasn't happened before. So I had been trying to communicate with Sport Trade to figure out how they wanted to handle this, and just finally happened to get some responses back. So Keon, the closest guess that we got that went over, what was that number again?
The closest over was 9685 texted in at 26%.
Well, 9685, Sport Trade has spoken. Congratulations. You are the winner of the $100 Amazon gift card and $50 in credit to Sport Trade. So if you are listening to this right now, we need you to text 888-368-1580. Give us your first and last name and a good email address so we can get those prizes to you. And for anyone else that's listening that participated, we're still sticking with the Price is Right rules. This was just a bit of a one-off scenario
this is probably going to be the tiebreaker, I guess, from now on, if we want to do it that way, because it could happen again. So
it could. Absolutely, it could. So this is now the precedent. This is, what we'll do going forward in these situations. But again, if you don't like the Cardinals, we've already had someone win doing this. Just go low.
Here's Lost Toby on the text line going, my guess is 6.9% retroactively. Lost Toby, you needed to be a hater on Friday or Saturday.
Would have won.
Or Sunday before the game. You can't be a retroactive hater. I mean, you can, but you don't win for being that. You needed to be a hater on Saturday morning. That was the time to be a hater. You can't come back and retroactively get the win. That's not how any of this works. I do believe that you would have guessed that if you had guessed, but you didn't. So 9685, you're the winner if you're listening. And if not, then I'm going to have to go through the text line and find you and text you myself.
Give us a texter nickname while you're at it too.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that so I don't have to say 9685 all the time. The one time you get to nickname yourself and actually be a cool person.
So there you go. And if you didn't win, appreciate you sending in a submission and participating. And there will be another contest this coming Friday when Alex Kane is back on Beat the Book with us. So if you didn't happen to get it this time, there's still another one coming around the corner. So just tune in on Friday.
The end of the season.
Exactly. So plenty of more opportunity to win those prizes from Sport Trade. But getting back to some basketball here, Suns, Lakers. Another one. I feel like these teams have played each other like 8 times now this month. Just between the preseason and
now, yeah.
So these are teams that are pretty familiar with each other by now. The Suns did just lose to the Lakers back on Friday. They did get right the following night against the Mavericks. So now we get to play the Lakers at home. And this is kind of funny because if you go back to last night with how the line was priced on this, the Lakers started as the favorite. And then all the money started pouring in on the Suns, and it's drastically moved Phoenix into that favored position. So right now, Suns are about 4.5 point favorites in this game. And if you want to know what I am going to be betting on for this game, like I mentioned before, check out that Beat the Book website. But what has been one of the more reliable trends so far throughout the first 3 games for the Suns this season is just the first half performance. The way that Coach Budenholzer is running this offense now, the Suns are just racing out to very hot starts, and it's really on the back of the 3-point shooting effort And they're just taking way more threes this year. And I mean, it's paying dividends. So in the first 3 games so far, the Suns have come into halftime up 8 points or more. And one of those games, again, being against the Lakers, they were up 9 at halftime back on Friday. The current point spread for the first half for the Suns is sitting at 2.5 on FanDuel. So if you want to take them to win the first half on the money line, you can do that. It should be paying around minus 160. But if you want a little bit more juice in that line, just take the Suns to win by 3 or more, and you're getting it at minus 110 odds. In addition to this, there's a guy on the Lakers that's playing pretty good basketball right now. His name is Anthony Davis. He's been averaging 30 or more points in each of his contests right now. His line on scoring is 26.5. And look, I mean, could he get 30 tonight? Absolutely. But I would caution you on shooting a little too high on that points mark for him. The Lakers are playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. Yes, it's the beginning of the season, but these are the stretches where you do tend to see a little bit of dip in production because you're just trying to cram a whole lot of basketball into a very short amount of time. So Anthony Davis, 25 or more points. Kevin Durant, he has been electric for the Suns so far. His line on scoring is sitting at 25.5. This could be another spot where Durant goes for 30 or more. You can certainly take him on the over there. Keon, who do you like to win this game?
Yeah, I like the Suns to win this game. I think that they kind of had the Lakers where they wanted them in the first half and then let go of the rope coming up on the end of that game. I felt like after the Dallas game, they got a little bit better about, all right, in the second half, we still have to lock in. We still have to play at an incredibly high level. I think they'll be ready to do that this time around because I just think that they've got too many scoring options is really what the answer is. And that's why I'll take the Suns.
I'm definitely backing the Suns as well. But again, that first half trend, that's been a little bit more reliable than Suns money line. So take the Suns in the first half, take the Suns money line. And that's all we got from Beat the Book.
Yep, we've got CK on the text line saying 9685 only wins if they have a texter nickname. CK, once again, that is not how that works. You can win without a texter nickname. You should just have one. This has been Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic.
I'm Chris Rose.